Hey, honor of National Donut Day and Agent Orange. One of those things you eat the donut and you wonder where the hole goes. Ever do that? I don't think so. So, Agent Orange. Anyone that grew up and saw the news of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s and the Vietnam War saw Agent Orange being sprayed. They heard about Agent Orange. They know it affected friends and relatives of theirs, and decades later it still is. But the idea of Agent Orange has died out. Um, Inside that, the news media and the quick quips and the 5 minutes of aerial spraying photos and videos. So yeah, we do chemtrails. Vietnam showed us we learned how to do chemtrails in Vietnam. We learned how to make compounds that would rain down on forests the right way and kill anything green, pollute the lands, kill the children. And so that was a real subtle lesson on television about chemical harm. It was a very long, persistent message about chemical harm. And that kind of wasn't how it was portrayed. I mean, it was a nasty chemical, and we kind of sort of got rid of it, right? Keep thinking. But that lesson in the health effects of chemicals, it was very subtle, and a lot of folks saw it. A lot of folks experienced it. To any Vietnam combat veteran, I mean, you're possibly at risk, depending on what years you were there and what areas you were in. So still to this day, that risk lingers out there. And maybe if you're lucky, you have VA benefits and VA medical benefits, or if you're not, well, then you don't. And some people don't have those benefits or haven't claimed them. Why should they have to claim it? Damn healthcare. So those were lessons out of Agent Orange. And now we've got a new Agent Orange in the political chair in office. It's that same type of noise. The media is absolutely fluffing over the rest of the story. They're going to give you the quick 5 minutes quips. Biden isn't an answer, by the way. But the lessons of the spraying of Agent Orange, the effects of the chemicals inside of Agent Orange. What were they dioxins? Were they perchlorates? Were they... I forget. But it can be found. That's kind of the interesting thing. It's not easy to find the whole story, though. The whole long-drawn story of the effects of Agent Orange, even today in Vietnam. This is kind of like the Bhopal, largest chemical disaster I'm aware of. Chemicals, not nuclear. This is chemical disasters. Because of the effects of the Bhopal Dow Chemical. Now it's Dow DuPont. They're back. They never died. So these are chemicals. This is pollution in the environment. This is pollution in our conversations. This is getting folks to know enough about this to go after it, to keep after it, because it never stopped. I'm just one voice of many more qualified speaking to this stuff. But, so chemtrails, yes. Again, you can see chemtrails from Vietnam. You can also see they had to fly very low to get good coverage, enough coverage to do whatever they were thinking they were trying to do. Napalm was using Agent Orange, but that would have incinerated, but it would have, you can find napalm burns. So chemicals in the environment, chemicals in the air. It is a fact. Let's call it plastic. Let's call it ocean plastic pollution. All those things do dissolve into smaller particles over time and become part of some chain of life somewhere and somehow. Is that good or bad? That's a really good question. Who's answering those questions? Well, it isn't friends of Donald Trump, let me tell you. It isn't friends of most politicians. These folks are being paid a whole lot of grift to have their parties and have their fun. And they just can't stay on topic, can they? I wonder why. So this is chemical pollution. This is how chemical pollution spreads. Recent National Academy's document goes through our nuclear, chemical, biological disaster planning, and it speaks to nuclear, but all of our disaster planning is corrupt. It's a laissez-faire place because it costs money that might never be used. It's equipment that might sit there and never get turned on, and we pay for it. Friday evenings, if I drank, I'd be drinking. I got tea. I do have tea. So, good tea Friday. And there's a rolled one in the